Welcome to the University of Michigan Dentistry Podcast Series, promoting oral health care worldwide.
The objective of a casting procedure is to provide a metallic duplicate of missing tooth structure with as great an accuracy as possible. Basically, the procedure consists of first preparing in wax an exact duplicate of the finished restoration. Then the wax pattern is sprued and placed in a sprue former, and a casting ring is placed over the sprue former, and the ring is filled with the dental investment material. Then the investment is permitted to harden. The hardened investment is placed in an oven. The oven is heated to some elevated temperature. Thus, the wax pattern is burns off and the mold and leaves a mold cavity. Then a molten alloy is cast into the cavity formed by this burning out of the wax pattern. Here's a tooth structure with a crown preparation, and here's a casting made for this preparation. As you can see, the missing portion of the tooth structure is prepared with the gold alloy. The purpose of today's exercise is not to show you how to make a good, well-adapted wax pattern, but it is to familiarize you with different steps of the dental castings. In order to save time, a preformed wax crown is provided for everyone in the class. Therefore, the first step that you will have to do is to sprue the wax pattern. Here's the wax pattern. The purpose of a sprue is to provide a channel through which a molten metal enters the mold cavity. The length, the diameter, the location, and the direction of the sprue has a pronounced effect on the quality of the castings. Too large or too small of a sprue size will produce a poor castings. For this particular case, we are going to use a Y-shaped sprue like this, and we are going to take a wax of a 14 gauge like this one. The length of this wax is about 4 centimeters, and then we are going to shape it in the form of this Y. Now, first thing you do, you bend it around like this. Then press it a little bit more so that they will stick together in this fashion. Then go ahead and open it. And then bend these edges up a little bit, like so. And this opening between these two sides, as you can see, between these two sides, should be exactly the dimension that you want to attach to it. For example, like this. Now, in order to simplify and make the attachment a little bit easier, go ahead and add a very small amount of a sticky wax on this sprue, just what I am doing now. Make sure that it is very, very small amount. And also, you should remember that always sprue is attached to the thickest portion of the wax pattern. And since this pattern does not have much of a thick or thin area, so you go ahead and provide a little bit of a thickness in here by adding very, very small amount of a sticky wax in tip of these cusps where the sprue is going to be attached. Now, bring this Y sprue and place it in here, like so, and keep on adding very, very small amount of a wax in here until the sprue is attached. Well, here is the pattern, which is sprue is being attached to it. Now it's ready to be placed in the sprue former. And the sprue former that you have is something like this one, which has relatively large sprue hole. Now, you have to fill this sprue hole with utility wax. Take a piece of this utility wax and just push it into this hole. Then, by means of a number 7 spatula, go ahead and open a good size opening in here, like this, and then take your pattern and place it in there. Like so. And then, as you can see, there's a flat area in here, and you want to add some more utility wax in order to make it this one in the conical shape. Just take a utility wax with your hand, with your fingers, just adapt it into it, like the way I am doing it. Like so. And then take a number 7 spatula, remove the excess in such a fashion that this conical shape to be exactly as it was made with the original sprue former. You see that the same taper exists all over. Now, always make sure that a very, very small amount of wax is also placed in this, just the beginning of this Y. You do not want to have any part of this Y sprue to be sharp. Just add just a very little bit of a wax in there. Here's the pattern, and it is ready to be invested. But the investment material does not wet the surface of this wax very well. Therefore, the surface of the wax always has to be treated. One material that we use in this school is called debubblizer and is made by Kerr Company. What one should do, should take a camel hair brush and add sufficient amount of this debubblizer on the wax, the inside and outside, so that, in other words, clean this wax completely. Then take a paper and dry this camel hair brush, go against the wax pattern, and remove all this excess. From inside and outside. It does not have to be completely dry, but nevertheless, it should not have any excess debubblizer sitting in there. Now you can see that this is now, the surface of this wax is treated with the debubblizer, and it is ready to be invested. The ring we use is a metallic ring, and these metallic rings, they should always be lined. And we use either asbestos liner for lining them up, or this ceramic paper for lining them up. And you notice that this asbestos liner is not completely wide enough to cover entire length of this ring. And we try to place this asbestos liner exactly in the middle, so that half of the unlined part to be on the top and half of it to be on the bottom. But also, you should not wrap these too many times around, just one time, and it shouldn't be overlapped. In order to do that, you just go ahead and do what I am doing it. Cut it in here in this fashion. You can see that this is much too long, and it is quite a bit overlapping. Let it overlap, and then place it inside of this ring, like this, and then take it out enlarge the circumference of this asbestos liner by about a couple millimeters. Then take a pair of scissors and cut the area which has been overlapped, like this. Now this should fit just right the inside of this ring. Now here it is. It doesn't have any overlapping, and also the half of the uncovered area is on the top and half of it is in the bottom. Now we take this ring and we immerse it in the water so that it's completely wet, and then take it out and remove the excess water from the ring. Dry it. Now go ahead and place that one on the sprue former. And in order to place it, you put it in here, push it out and then in. Hold like this. Now it's placed in here. Now this ring is ready now to be filled with investment. The investment material that we use in the school is beauty cast investment. Is made by Whipmix Corporation, and it is an investment that is going to utilize water bath technique, water bath hygroscopic technique. Now we are going to mix this investment under the vacuum and fill the ring under the vacuum. And the equipment that we use are these. This is the bowl. First we put the right amount of water in this bowl. Then we open this package and we fill it in this, we put it in this bowl. Then we mix it a little bit by hand until all the powders are wet. Then we place this one in here, in this opening. And then we take the whole thing under the vacuum and we spatulate it under the vacuum. And then we turn it around and we fill it under the vacuum. The vacuum attachment is here. I like you to pay attention and see these things. The vacuum is attached in here, and the ring is attached in here. And this part, this top part, fits to the machine, and machine rotates this one. So it is going to spatulate this thing under the vacuum. Then we are going to tip it over like this and fill this ring under the vacuum. Now first thing, we place this one in here. Okay. Now remember that this is the area that the investment is going to go into this ring. So first thing you do, you come over here and take a look at here and see that if you could see the entire crown. If you cannot see the entire crown, then the inside of the crown is not going to fill with the investment material, and you are going to get a bubble in the inside of this crown. So you rotate this sprue former until you could see the entire crown clearly. Now you see, this is the best we could do. Now this is ready to be filled with investment materials. Now you take the whole thing to the vacuum spat and mix it, your investment under the vacuum, and fill the ring with under the vacuum. This is the vacuum spat unit. The unit uses a hose like this, and as you can see, the two ends of the hose are slightly different than one another. This side fits to the machine and this side fits to the container. Let's attach this part to the machine, and this other part is going to fit into this part of this machine like this. Now if everything is working fine, this dial gauge should read about 10 to 12 inch. Then when I put my finger under this portion and close it, then the dial gauge should read about 25 or more. If from the beginning the dial gauge reads more than 12 or 13, then that means that the holes are plugged and they have to be cleaned. Now let's try and see if everything is all right now. I'm putting the machine on. Now you can see that the dial gauge is reading only about 10 or 12. Now I close this, and it reads about 27. So everything is working. Let's try and invest this pattern. Now, proper amount of water is added in here. In this particular case, we are using 16 cc of water for 50 grams of powder. Always these packages, they contain only 50 grams. Now, in some other patterns, we may use a different water to powder ratio, but for today's exercise, we are going to use 60 cc of water per 100 grams of powder. You open it like this and fill it in here. Now you save this package that if in case you did not complete the casting today and you have to put it aside and eliminate the wax the next day, then you can wrap the pattern in this package. Now you take this out and mix it a little bit until all the powder is wetted. Then you go ahead and put this portion on top of it and attach the vacuum to it and take to the machine to the second portion of it and put it in here like this and let it spatulate for 20 seconds under the vacuum. Now the 20 seconds is over. Bring it in here and try to fill it. While it is under the vibration, on top of vibration, break the vacuum and let it fill. Now, remove this one out. And then take it out and put it inside of this ring, inside of this water bath for about 45 minutes until the investment sets. Then after 45 minutes, you can remove it and put it in the oven for wax elimination. 45 minutes has passed. The investment set is under the water. Now is the time to place them in the oven. You remove it, the ring from the water bath, you wipe it out. You have to remove the sprue former. Here it is. Now, if in case we would have used metallic sprue, you would have removed the metallic sprue also, but in this case, since we have used wax sprue, we don't have to remove it since the wax is going to burn out. Now you take this one to the preheated oven and put half an hour the hole down and half an hour the hole up until all the wax is eliminated. If you have more than one ring in each oven, then you should add you should keep it in there slightly longer time. So now here I put this in the oven. Now after half an hour, I'm going to turn it over and put the hole up. Most dental castings are made with centrifugal casting machine. Here's the centrifugal casting machine which you will use in this experiment. First, you wind it for 3 turns. And then you raise this pin to hold this machine. And whenever it is ready to cast, you will pull this machine slightly towards yourself, and then the pin drops, and then if I let it go, you see this is going to spin. So let's hold it in here now. Now here's the cradle, and this is the crucible. the crucible is going to fit in the cradle, and the ring is going to fit in here, casting ring. First of all, you have to line the crucible, and the crucible is lined either with asbestos liner or ceramic paper. Then you will be using 4 pennyweights of a new gold, like this. But I am purposely going to use used gold so that I can show you when and how to use flux. So here's the equivalent of a 4 pennyweights of gold. That will fit in here. Then you'll open this cradle a little bit, and the ring is going to fit in here. The reason you are opening it so that they'll have enough room for the ring to fit here. After you place the ring in here, then you will close this cradle, and then you pull this casting machine slightly towards yourself, then the pin will drop, and the casting machine will start spinning. Now this gold should be melted with a reducing flame and as fast as possible. Now here is the demonstration of the flame. As you can see, there are 3 zones in that flame. The first zone and the third zone are oxidizing zone, and the central zone is the reducing zone. So you will try to melt the gold with that reducing zone. Now let's show that one in the flame. Every one of you have one of these torches. And this torch has 2 adjustments in here, one for gas, one for air. And also there are 2 adjustments on the line, one for air, one for gas. So there will be total of 4 adjustments for air and gas. This might be a little too many to adjust it easily. So in order to simplify the case, we will always open the air adjustment on the torch and adjust the air on the line. And also always open the gas adjustment on the line and adjust it on the torch. So therefore, the gas is going to be adjusted on the torch, and the air is going to be adjusted on the line. Now, when I lit this, you are going to see, first I'll open enough gas, and then I'll lit it. Then you are going to see that lots of flame coming out. Then I will add slight amount of air until this continuous flame becomes discontinuous. It will look like that if I add a slightly more air to it, the flame is going to die. Then that is the maximum amount of the air that this particular torch can handle. Then at that stage, I will go and close the gas until the discontinuous flame becomes continuous again. Let me demonstrate that. Now I will add the air from the line until this flame becomes discontinuous. Now you see, right around here is breaking. Now that is the maximum amount of the air can take. Now I will go and close the gas. Now became continuous. This is the flame that we use for melting gold alloys. If I close the air a little bit more, the flame becomes sharper and hotter, and that is the flame that you usually use for soldering, like this. This is a soldering flame. This is the melting flame. Now let's go and melt this gold. If you are using a fresh gold, it is usually not necessary to add any flux to it. But if the gold alloy has been already once melted, you have to add some flux. And the flux has to be added in the right time. You will start heating the gold without any flux until the gold becomes completely red. Then you remove the flame, add a little bit of a flux, very, very small amount, and then you start heating more, as I will demonstrate now. Now you could see that small amount of the gold alloy is melting. This is the time that you should add flux. Now you can see that the gold is melted and a spherical shape is formed. Now this is the time that you'll bring your ring and hold it in here until you are sure that this is the time to cast. Then place it in the cradle. As soon as you put in the cradle, you should cast. Casting machine has come to the stop, and about 2 minutes is passed. Now at that stage, you can take this ring and drop it in the water, and then take it to your bench and retrieve the casting. The casting is removed from the ring and is brushed with toothbrush and soap in order to remove all investment particles. However, the casting has some oxide film on it, as you can see in here in the casting. And these oxide film also has to be removed. Now, in order to remove the oxide films, we use in this school Prevox as a pickling solution. This Prevox is made by Williams Company, and is what one does is that puts the castings inside of this beaker and then covers it with the Prevox. And then takes this solution over the Bunsen burner and heats it until the solution comes to the boiling. You have to realize that this pickling solution is a form of an acid, and it has to be handled according to that. Now let's go and actually boil this pickling solution in order to remove all the oxide films. The pickling solution has come to the boiling and has removed all the oxides. Now's the time to go down there and remove the castings. As you know, the pickling solution is an acid, and one should not touch it with his fingers. So if you have a rubberized tweezers, you could go down there and pick this casting and then rinse it in water. Then after that, naturally you can handle it. Now, if you didn't have rubberized tweezers, the best thing to do is that to empty the pickling solution in another jar, like this. And then rinse this one 2 or 3 times before you actually touch it. Now, meantime, you should keep this one separate. This pickling solution that has been used separate from the fresh ones. And you can reuse this many, many times until this color changes completely to green color. Then when it is a dark greenish color, then you can discard it and start with a fresh pickling solution. Now, in here I'm going to use the rubberized tweezers, and here's the casting. All the oxide films have been removed, and this is the casting that you are going to use. Here's a crown, and you can cut the sprues off and use it as the crown that you were expecting to get.
You've been listening to a presentation from the University of Michigan School of Dentistry, which is dedicated to supporting open learning and open educational resources. This recording is licensed under the Creative Commons. It may be reused and redistributed for nonprofit use. Please attribute materials to the University of Michigan School of Dentistry and redistribute under this same license. For more information on how this and other University of Michigan School of Dentistry recordings may be used, visit www.dent.umich.edu/license.